Hi, good morning from Kohima, Nagaland, the capital city of Nagaland, right?
Yes.
So, as a part of my 20,000 kilometers cycling journey, I'm here in Kohima, Nagaland with Crick, Kikri, I'm sorry, Kikri, Otto, um Manin, and Senti.
Yes.
Right. So, thank you guys. Uh, I have been having a wonderful chat with you, understanding the nuances of the Northeast culture. Normally, when we come from mainland, we have a lot of enigma about Northeast, but having come here and spent so many months, I am quite fascinated with the beauty of the people and nature both. So, see this journey which I've undertaken, it's for the cause of climate change. So, I would like to know what are your views on climate change? So, maybe we can start with Kikri. What do you think climate change is for you?
So, um, as far as I know, in my limited knowledge, climate change is a global phenomenon. It doesn't just affect one place or the other; it affects everywhere, and it's a it's a reality we have to face. That the Earth is the climate is changing, the seasons are changing. We have to adapt also, but it's also the main cause of climate change is also partly our fault. It's
Partly
our fault.
a
Me,
fault. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
resulting from carbon emissions, greenhouse gases. So, yeah.
Okay. Otto?
Uh, there are lots of aspects leading to climate change, like using of plastics and these cars and the factories. Yeah,
Yeah, so these are things actually which these are human interventions because of which climate change is happening. Yes.
Yes,
Something.
so it's Manan.
I'm sorry, Manan. Manan. Yeah. Yeah.
Climate change is something that we are all feeling right now, I would say, the consequences of it.
Right.
So you can see the early rainfall, you can see uh, the landslides, all of these are consequences of climate change. Like it or not, we have to accept that climate change is something uh, we have also caused, as well as the nature is also changing. And as someone from the agricultural background professionally, uh, we see how climate change affects our farmers and how we have to adapt towards it. So climate change to me would be something that we have to be prepared for, and we have to see how do we actually adapt around it so that we can um help our farmers to actually combat it.
Okay. Um, yes. Santi. Yes.
In short, for me, climate change will be rise in temperature and change in seasons.
Okay. Is this change in season climate?
Not in, change in seasons, sorry, change in weather conditions.
Yeah. So basically, erratic
Mm.
patterns like earlier 1st of June and the rains would start.
Yes.
And now suddenly it's 15 June, but we don't know
Hmm.
if it's coming or not. Right. So those erratic weather patterns, I think, is a issue. So, what do you think? Is this is climate change a natural phenomena, or is it a human intervention, or is it a combination?
I think, like I mentioned, I think this is just the nature kind of resetting itself. And yes, as the population increases, that's another issue globally. We do contribute to it. We are burning resources. We are using more of the fuel. We are using more of the Earth's resources. But I believe at the same time, as we use it, we also kind of block nature's way of being sustainable. So in a way, that is our fault. But then I think mm, like I mentioned, nature has a way of resetting its things.
Yes, so you mean this human intervention, which is causing climate change, at some point nature will reset itself. What, like, what will be the manifestations when nature resets itself? What might happen?
Tsunamis, landslides.
Okay.
So when we break its pattern of how the world functions, I think nature will in some way react. So when I moved to Kohima 4 years ago, August or September would be much cooler than it is now. So I can also personally feel the difference. I come from a place called Dimapur, which is just 74 kilometers from here, which is much hotter than the rest of Nagaland. So even that has become much more hotter than what it used to be when we were kids.
True. Do you guys also experience this?
Yes,
Yes.
very
So
much.
you're from Koima.
Yes.
Okay.
So as far as my experience, so like 2 decades back, when I grew up in Kohima. I grew up in Kohima, so for me personally, I feel the changes very. It's been. I can't say it's rapid, but yes, 2 decades back, even a decade back, it was cooler than this.
Oh, okay. And what about the rains?
The rains also has been erratic.
Erratic.
Yeah.
But average rainfall remains the same or is decreasing?
Average rainfall. Some years it'll be average, but some years it'll be lesser than previous years.
Oh,
And also, like my colleague said, so for farmers, it's a big issue because they know only one method. They've been practicing this farming and their farming practice since their fathers, their forefathers. What they know, what their time period is, what their schedule is.
right.
So like even for rice paddy plantations, when there's a specific time for them to plant, but year by year it's changing, so they have to wait. Sometimes it's too early. Even if they plant, it won't yield as much as previous times. And regarding the temperature, it's evident in
Mm-hmm.
Kohima because Kohima is considered quite a cold place.
Yes, it has been quite pleasant as compared to many other places
True,
I've
true.
been. So yes, I agree. How old are you now? Uh,
It's around 28
Otto,
this year.
28.
Yeah.
Okay. So in last 28 years, I mean, at least since the time you've started, realizing, understanding,
Yes, sir.
have you seen climate changing in Kohima?
Yes, sir. Like back during my childhood days, when I come to Kohima, I I feel the weather more colder. Like back then.
Back then?
Yeah.
Okay.
But now, since the climate has changed, it has become very hot even in Kohima,
Okay.
which is also supposed to be one of the coldest in Nagaland.
Oh,
Every year, like uh, we have that feeling that the temperature
it's
around
getting
us
hotter.
it's getting hotter and hotter, no?
Okay.
Yeah. And then for the rainfall, I think this year we have gotten like apart from the average rainfall that we should be getting, I think we are getting more this year.
We're
Yeah,
getting more rainfall.
I think this year.
So what do you think the reasons are for this?
Global warming.
Okay. Uh, what do you think?
As in we're
The
having more
reasons,
water.
like, so yeah, I mean, the climate changing in Nagaland, it's becoming more hotter, erratic rainfall patterns.
Mhm.
What could be the reasons?
I don't know if we can actually pinpoint this to Nagaland's context as well, but
Hmm.
then traditionally, what we Naga people practice is jum cultivation. Jum cultivation, in another aspect, is very damaging to the environment. Jum cultivation is a slash and burn method.
Hmm.
So we cut on all the trees and we burn it so that we can the soil can have its nutrients.
Hmm.
So in that process, what happens is the cycle is getting shorter and shorter. More trees have to be cut down for more cultivation to be done, and in that process and in that time frame, the trees are not able to come back to its own size as compared to our forefathers' time. So traditionally the kind of farming we practice is also damaging to the environment. So maybe that might be a reason, because as we can see with urbanization, with new projects coming up, more and more forests are being cleared up in Nagaland. And with the talk of having more rainfall, I don't know, because when I first came to Kohima, I remember buying less water,
Okay.
but this year I seem to be buying more water.
You
That's,
buy water, huh?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. You don't get water
yeah.
from.
That is the most common calculation, because
Ah,
we either do rainwater harvesting, or the other alternative is to buy. So that is, I think, a simple man's calculation of if you're getting less rainfall or more rainfall. Maybe even in a radius of 10 to 15 kilometers, the distribution of rainfall has completely changed, I believe. So this part of Kohima, which is called Sitoki, these areas much hotter than how Kohima is in Aradura area. So even in a small district, these are some of the changes that we can feel. Even if you happen to go to Aradura now, you feel much cooler, much pleasant the weather
as
as
compared
compared
to
to, yeah, yeah, as compared to here.
Mhm.
So I think this is like a common man's measurement of how climate change is really affecting even within a small radius.
You know, I was speaking to someone a few days back down in Zubza. Zubza, right? So this lady, she was telling me that Zoom cultivation is not really a problem
Mhm,
because the way the entire cultivation method has been designed
mhm,
is very scientific. So you cut one part
mhm,
and do your cultivation out there. But even when you cut in such a way that the roots are intact
mhm,
and that you have enough provision for the trees to grow back,
mhm,
and then you move to other area.
mhm,
So you would like have four or five, and then you in rotation you come back to the same place.
mhm,
So you're not keep on slashing different. But yes, probably because of the climate change, as you rightly said,
mhm,
the trees are not really growing at the speed at which they should,
mhm,
and hence then now you have to keep looking out for newer
mhm,
areas. And so in that way, so it's not really a Zoom cultivation. What I understood from the
mhm,
discussion with her is a problem. It's again the climate change which is impacting the growth of those trees
mhm.
back, which becomes an issue. So now, as individuals, you see these issues, right? And again, Nagaland probably is also a victim of the global phenomena, right? So not everything is going or being done in Nagaland is wrong. There's a lot of conservation efforts, but if it's happening globally, it's going to impact Nagaland also. I think it's the same in Bhutan also. Bhutan very green, but they're becoming victims of all the other development happening everywhere else. So as individuals, you know, what do you think you can do to mitigate this, or is it even possible at individual level? Say something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
uh, if you look nationwide or even globally, we've seen mass movements of switching off lights from this time frame as a contribution to climate change, to protecting our climate. But I think it goes way more than that. What we can contribute to saving the environment, the big corporations can destroy in a minute.
Absolutely.
So the fight and the odds are very different. So what we can do to combat climate change would be, I think, since we recognize Nagaland or even India as a whole, we recognize ourselves as an agricultural state or country. So if we do that, means our uh, main source of income would be agriculture. So changing the way we do farming, I think that would be one of the ways how we combat climate change also.
Or change the way we do farming.
Yeah.
That's one way of doing.
Yes.
And what can you do individually? Like,
Individually.
yeah, you as Manan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the best way would be finding alternatives to using more electricity, using less plastic.
Okay.
So these are, I think, some of the things which indirectly contribute to all of it.
Okay. Uh, yes, Otto. As Otto, what would you do to combat
Change.
climate change? Yes,
Climate change.
combat climate change. I mean, so that at least reduce your own carbon footprint.
Yeah.
No, your individual carbon footprint. What would you do?
Like even in Nagaland, even in some districts, they have started banning these plastics. Yeah, and some have come up with a new idea, like in a sustainable way, to use in a sustainable way.
Right.
In Nagaland, most
Catch
of
this.
most of the Naga people have been practicing this organic farming, but still, like some in a commercial area, some have been using these fertilizers. So, like, we should come up with a new idea to, to adapt to our, you know,
Mhm.
how our forefathers have been practicing.
Right. So basically, going back to the roots
Yeah,
and
going
going
back
back
to
to
the
the old
roots.
style of living, actually undoing what we have done.
I think the only solution is planting more trees.
Planting more trees, yes, that's just one solution. But it's also just not planting any tree would help, right? We
Yeah, yeah.
plant a native species, and also prevent cutting the trees. Uh, yes, um, your views. Kikri, yes.
So, in like in an individual context, so like as an individual, you can make the conscious choice, like my friend said, make the conscious choice of not using plastics, or you can be like in the mindset of being more conservative with any resource, with water, with electricity, with any resource, and like adopting like greener methods. Syntropic farming is one method that
What farming?
syntropic farming.
Okay, can you elaborate a little on that?
Syntropic farming. So like the actually I'm not
Just
agree.
give us
Yeah,
a little idea,
yeah,
small idea.
but as far as I understood the concept, it's syntropic farming is a way of a method of farming in which every action, every planting that you do has a connection. So like even the waterways and
Uh,
the the relationship between vegetables and trees, and so this is a very new concept for me also. But it's
Sounds very promising.
it sounds very promising
Kind
actually.
of like permaculture.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like you said, the madam you've talked to.
Uh-huh.
So there's actually even uh, in our culture, in Angami culture also, there's a way of cutting trees so that they may regrow.
Regrow.
And there's a season for cutting that tree also. So you should not cut the tree before that season comes. So these small methods, if individually we can do, I think it'll benefit also.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yes.
I don't have any point in my mind, but
I
could
mean,
you
you
share,
yourself,
yeah,
as
uh,
Senti, what would you do on daily basis?
so I'll just give an example. If there is a bus going to where your destination is, instead of using your own car, instead of burning your own fuel, just take a common bus. Even if it's a little inconvenient for you, also, you can do that to minimize the emission of carbon dioxide.
Right.
Yeah.
Using public
Yeah,
transport.
and for in farming, these livestock, I think they emit a lot of methane gas.
Hmm.
Yeah, CH4, I think.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
so what they can do is they can, you know, do it, they should farm it in such a way that the uh, emission from the livestock that they are rearing should be controlled by, grinding, and I think there's one process called pelleting,
Mhm.
storing up the waste product of the animals. I mean,
Okay.
they're
Mhm.
yeah. So I think we should do that.
And I've heard even the belching of the cows contributes to climate change. When the cows belch, I read a whole article on it. I was surprised myself. So we just stop cows from belching. Don't belch.
It will be very controversial to speak on cows at this point.
Oh yes. No. So yeah, it is very interesting. But yes, our food habits also, that means do contribute to climate change. So if we all strictly become vegetarian, probably that might help the cause. That could be one of the factors, rather. Right. But yeah, that
I would take a
again
different
controversial.
approach.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Please state your approach. What would your approach be?
Eat more meat.
That's
reduce
the same trees.
reduce emissions.
Same trees. Okay.
Save trees.
Right. Yes, I know. A lot of my non-veg student friends they say this. You know, so you're gonna save the planet, just eat meat so that you can don't have to cut trees and plants. So yeah, that's an interesting logic though. So are you aware of any initiatives the Nagaland government is taking to prevent climate change, make uh, the lifestyle of the citizen of the state more sustainable? Any initiatives the government is taking? In case you've heard of some or done some research.
We can definitely see uh, our forest department, which is under the government of Nagaland, taking initiatives, creating more forest area and protecting which already exists. We have the Intanki National Forest. We have uh, plantations in different areas, which the department I think is also safeguarding, and also preventing log cutting, illegal timber means business and all. So I think all of this contributes to climate change, and I think with we also have I think the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals,
Yeah.
which work regularly and directly for
Yes.
environment and climate change only. So I think even the Nagaland government, we can see that they are doing a good job when it comes to that. We have seen them come up with uh, workshops and all. We've seen them do activities. Even during the Hornbill festivals, I always see the SDGs always have their own stall, creating that awareness even amongst the festivals. Nah? So Nagaland government, I think, is doing a lot when it comes to climate change. Not necessarily maybe seen on media, but then indirectly through the government initiatives, be it the forestry department, be it agriculture department. Just by increasing the plantation, I think we're trying to contribute to more sustainable environment.
Now, across the country, which
Yes.
also includes Northeast, I see a lot of huge road development projects happening.
Mhm.
Now, 4 lanes, and of course, that's contributing a lot to destruction of massive amount of forests, landslides, and so on and so forth. Do you think all these 4 lanes are necessary, or you can still do with these 2 lane, the older highways?
I think four lanes are necessary, but
Okay.
there are some projects which may not necessarily contribute to the public's convenience. Those can be done away with.
Okay.
I think four lanes are the only way in which we can make the distance shorter, make it more convenient for the people, thereby reducing.
But you don't have to have it everywhere, is what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, you don't have to have it everywhere.
Right. Great. I think now I got a lot of insights into your views on what climate change is, and we all collectively also started thinking about the topic, which is nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, at least the thought process has been initiated, and I really hope it just refines and translates into some positive actions
Mhm.
in all our lives. So, and it has been a very beautiful experience here in Nagaland. As I said before, I entered Northeast. It was a big enigma for me. But having traversed so many states now, Sunni Arunachal, which is balanced rest, I think I've gone through all the states, and it has been a very beautiful experience. So thank you very much for this.
But I think before we end, I would like to add something.
Sure.
Since we're here in Sitoki,
Yeah.
what Sitoki? What do we do in Sitoki? Or the companies that are here. So, Zaneric Initiatives is a parent body, and Green Caravan, as an organization, we function under Zaneric Initiatives. So,
What initiative?
Zaneric Initiatives.
Zaneric
Yes,
initiative.
yes.
Okay.
So, what do we do in Green Caravan is we're impaneled under the Department of Agriculture and Horticulture to implement a project called the MOVCD NER.
Mm.
So we have been collaborating with the government, with the department from 2021, and we have now entered the phase 4 of implementing the scheme. So as we work with the farmers in phase 3 as well, we work with 5,000 farmers from 7 districts of Nagaland. Even in phase 4, we're working with 3,500 farmers spread across 6 districts of Nagaland. So as we interact and as we collaborate more with the farmers, more with the department, we feel that farming is one way, and I think the most important way in which we can uh, massively contribute to improving the climatic conditions to wherever you are. I mean, if you're here in Nagaland, living aside the other places, if you can just be responsible for Nagaland, and other districts can just be responsible for their own district, for their own states, districts, and villages, I think that will go a long way in maybe correcting some mistakes and faults that have been already committed or done. So, what do we preach as a company or as an organization who teach farmers how to farm? Actually, it is very difficult to teach our farmers how to farm because they already have this traditional base of knowledge where they already know the planting season, where they already know how to have a seed bank even in the village. But then with the erratic seasons, the planting season, which happened in naturally in August last year, is now being moved back to July
Mm.
because of the rains, because of the climatic conditions. So the only solution, or we believe the only alternative, would be maybe practicing pot farming. Pot farming, why? Because we believe when we are able to improve the soil conditions in a pot, we are able to influence the yield.
Mm.
More yield would mean less stress on the soil, on the land.
Right.
So what we do is we are practicing that. We teach that to our farmers. We teach that to our entrepreneurs who come to learn from us, and we believe that pot farming, in which we can enhance the soil conditions in such a way that the entire crop cycle of the plant can be molded from there on, and we can improve the yield in such a way that we automatically reduce the stress on the soil. We automatically reduce the stress on how much we have to, how much development we have to do on the farming scale as well.
Mm.
And pot farming, as long as we teach integrated farming systems, how we can incorporate everything. So, like our colleague has mentioned on syntropic farming, it's all about regeneration of resources, is so that the farm is sustainable in a way that we minimize everything that we buy, and we grow everything that we need on the farm itself, on the pots itself.
Right.
So these are some of the uh, initiatives that we're taking as an organization.
Yeah, pot farming, that's a very interesting concept
Mhm.
actually, because that also makes farming more portable, more
Yes.
resilient, and you can minimize the impact of the external factors
Mhm.
on your crop
Mhm.
to a large extent. So yeah, these kind of new innovative methods which your
Mhm.
organization is taking,
Mhm.
uh, Shirogi Living School.
Mhm.
So that's really nice and a lot to learn from there.
Taking this opportunity, since since we get the opportunity to interact with an MBA professor from Christ University Bangalore, on behalf of our colleagues and our organization, I would also like to get some pointers from you. With MOVCD, the main component being market linkage. That is what we have to do for the farmers. The farmers have to grow, and we as a service provider, we have to market their produce.
Mm.
So we are privileged to have you, and then we would like to get an insight on, since you're from an MBA background, how do we help the farmers with market linkage? How do we solve the logistics? How do we uh, make our farmers known for what they produce? And how do we get the best pricing for them? If we could get your insight on that, I think that would be, we would be the lucky ones.
Okay, so basically here we are looking at the entire value chain,
Yes, yes.
right? And there's a supply side and there's a demand side.
Mhm.
And so the supply side is all the farmers,
Yes.
which you are developing very beautifully, right? You're doing a lot of R&D there. You're standing somewhere in the middle,
Mhm.
where you are developing the supply side and also aggregating, right?
Mhm.
And now we want to see how the whole aggregated produce
Mhm.
goes out in the market,
Mhm.
and so you generate enough business,
Mhm.
which will flow back into the ecosystem and the farmers and the company, and everybody benefits,
Mhm.
and it becomes financially sustainable
Mhm.
along with the environmental sustainability, right? That's the context, right, of
Mhm.
your question. So well, first of all, I'm not very familiar with the market conditions
Mhm.
within Nagaland, right? But yes, there's definitely, generically speaking,
Mhm.
there's a lot of market for the organic produce
Mhm.
and for the genuine organic produce. And a lot of people out there, uh, they say organic, but I don't know what they package and
Mhm.
sell under the name of organic. Everything goes that way. So first of all, creating a brand What's the brand under which you operate? You sell.
So in MO City, what we do is we set up these farmer producer companies,
Mhm.
which are based in each different districts. For example, in Kohima, we have two FPCs, which is Topeza Organic
Mhm.
and Western Angame Organic. Topeza Organic, it's based in the Botsa area. We have three or four villages. Topema, we have Botsa, we have Chichama. So these villages, they form the Topeza Organic FPC, and they'll be primarily dealing with coffee cultivation and selling of coffee. Western Angami, uh, under the initiative of the Department of Horticulture, we're introducing persimmon. So, so Western Angami will have 8 villages which will be growing this, and then we'll be responsible for marketing it for them, creating the brand. So for each FPCs, we have created a brand. We have created the logos for them.
FPC would be food
Farmer producer companies.
farmer producer companies.
Yes.
Okay.
So based on that name, we create a brand for them.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh, so they're not all operating under a common brand.
No, no.
So you create a brand for them and then work with their brand.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So it's not that you're taking it from them and then white labeling it and sell.
No, no.
It's not that.
Yes.
Oh, so you're kind of empowering the
Exactly.
farmers.
Yes.
Um, oh, that's very interesting. Okay. Um, in fact, I have a friend. He's is working in Uttarakhand, Rupesh Rai, doing something similar. Not exactly the same. He'll have some different, but it's the same spirit with which he's working. And there are quite a few people in almost each of the state who are working on a similar lines. Though their dynamics, everything would be very different.
Yes, yes.
It'll be nice to build a database of such people and collaborate with each
Yes,
other,
yes.
right? So you can build a lot of synergy there,
Yes.
right? Because I think you're already doing everything right. Yeah, it's a matter of
Waiting it out.
getting it out, building a brand, and obviously, I mean, there are multiple standard channels through which you build your brand. Of course, the social media is there, reaching out through different conferences and different public forums, right? Even of course, people like me who go from place to place. Once I understand what you're doing, right, I can definitely do my bit to spread the word, right? And in fact, we as change before climate change as a movement, we have a couple of cyclists who are a part of us, and more are joining, right? So, and then we reach out to a very niche kind of a audience, right? So we could also become your messengers, and
Yes,
you could
definitely.
reach out to multiple people like this, right? And organize these kind of activities yourself, right? When I was in Calcutta, in Newtown, there's a place called as Organic Heart. Heart means market, right? Organic Heart. So it's a government initiative. It's kind of a public-private partnership where government is taking a major initiative actually, but they have a whole mall, a huge mall with a lot of good facilities by the government, and then they've given all these people who are into organic produce, they have, it's kind of free for them, everything paid for. So you just come and set up your shop.
Okay.
But you have to have some history to prove your authenticity,
Okay.
right? And that way, all these organic farmers, it could be honey, it could be any kind of organic produce. You would just come and put up a stall there, and everybody knows. Okay, if I want something organic, I go there. So it becomes kind of a marketplace for them, and because everybody is together, they learn from each other and kind of build that synergy, right? So something similar you could even start in Nagaland. Government could learn from this initiative by West Bengal. Have some kind of a organic heart in Kohima. Now, so since you are empowering all these farmers to build their own brands, they can come, with their produce, and then which you as a company probably could overlook. We can always look at those models, like how you operate, right?
Since
Yeah.
we are working directly under the Department of Agriculture and Horticulture,
Okay.
the government of Nagaland has a brand of its own. It's called Naga Organic.
Okay.
So all these brands, all these companies, whenever if we want to export, if we want to marketer produce, we can also use that brand to do the marketing. And like you mentioned, there is an initiative in Dimapur. It's called the Organic AC Market in Agri Expo.
Oh, so again,
So
it's a public-private partnership. I mean,
yeah, it's run by the government
oh, okay. And
directly by the. I think it's handled by the NSAMB,
Mhm.
Nagaland State Agriculture Marketing Board. So there, all the produce is aggregated and then is handled by an extension of the department of the Agri department. So that model already exists in Dimapur.
So that is something that I'm sure Kohima has a potential.
Yes, yes,
You
definitely.
know, you can
Mhm.
you can take this initiative to multiple as many different places as
Mhm.
possible. So this organic produce is more accessible. Like for
Mhm.
example, if sitting in Kohima, I want to buy something which is more organic, then I have to go all the way to Dimapur. Or so I think if you can just increase these kind of centers, right, and then engage with more people like me, or organize from Nagaland itself these kind of events, where people go out and take this message across. That would really help.
Mhm.
So these are a few things which come to my mind. I'm sure there are multiple ways in which you can do this. So
Yes, yes.
give me some time. Let me think. Probably we can come up with a proper strategy,
Sure, sure.
right? A very
Yes.
well structured strategy, right? So great. Any closing remarks from anyone?
We're just grateful to you for
Oh, thank you.
connecting us and connecting with us, and we're hoping that this will be the start of many more collaborations, many more networking to be done, and we believe that all the guests that Sitoki Living School has a purpose of coming here, of
Sure.
connecting, and maybe having a future together as well.
Yes.
So we thank you for that. We wish you for the best for your journey as well. So that is all.
Thank you very much. Right. Thanks.
Now I feel like I'm meeting you for the first time.